everybody. Happy Wednesday. Are we still saying hump day? Is that a thing? Still, I don't think that it is. I think we've moved beyond that in culture. Happy not surprising news day. How about that? Happy obvious headlines day. Happy you will learn nothing of new information for the most part from this stream, but it's time that we all need a refresher because Americans need to be reminded of the truth in a society that's constantly lying to them day. How about that? That's a long acronym. We're going to have to work on putting that acronym together when we repost this video later on. It is a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day here in Miami, Florida, where I live. It's a beautiful day in the US of A. It's a beautiful day in all of the countries that you guys are watching from around the world as well. And I'm very excited to be doing this stream. As you guys know from our stream on Monday, we are very strategically moving away from just partisan politics content. I've been doing that for about a year, but especially on the stream, feel like we're getting kind of sucked back into it because of everything that's going on in the world. And so while that will continue to be some of what we talk about, I am finding that the biggest issues impacting America and Generation Z around the world at large are not just political issues. They're not just about right versus left. They're not just about conservative versus liberal. They're not just about Republicans versus Democrats. Truly, the biggest issues that my generation and all of you are facing around the world every day today are about culture. And if we don't have the opportunity to go beyond and go where culture is and identify these issues where they're at today and change them from the inside out, we won't have the opportunity to talk about any of these cultural issues later on down the line at all. And so we've spent a lot more time talking about dating and faith and health, which is what we're going to be talking about today, the environment, crazy fun internet trends, and just fun information and trends and current topics, trending topics from around the world on the stream these days. And I have had so much fun doing that. We're going to be mixing that up a little bit more on the stream in the next couple of weeks, including trying some new fun things on the stream, not just me talking, but doing something a little bit more interactive, thanks to the requests of you guys. And I could not be more pumped to try all of that out. But today is obvious news day, is information that you probably already know, but apparently still needs to be said anyway day. And I'm very excited about it. First, though, we want to say hi to some people right at the get-go of our stream. Tito, you goat, already donating in our locals super chat. So unbelievably grateful for all of you guys continuing to support all of my content. Tito, thank you so much for being here. And the whole locals gang has come out in force today on this Wednesday. M-Rock is here. African Warlord is here. Alex is here. We've got Daniel Maynard here. And you guys are all reminding me it is the 248th birthday of the U.S. Army. Love that. Johnny Diamond is here as well. Happy birthday, U.S. Army. Sadly, you're not going to get any sort of recognition or substantial information given to you today about that because it's Pride Month. So sorry, you're no longer relevant. You no longer count unless you're parroting talking points for members of the LGBTQ plus community to join the Army, in which case you're all good. Happy birthday to yourself, apparently, because we're going in that direction, which is absolutely asinine. Over on Getter, we've got red votes. Ryan is watching. Prometheus is watching from Germany. So great. We love Germany. Been to your beautiful country many years ago, but I absolutely adore it. Nitty Witty is here. So grateful for you, Nitty Witty. And it's Donald Trump's birthday, and it's Flag Day. You guys, what a big day. Sadly, we're not talking about any of those things because I'd love to have the opportunity to, but instead, we're all stupid and go along with absolute nonsense in society. So we're talking about something else to counter the lies first before we have the fun times to talk about all of that. Over on Rumble, Juan is watching, Magic Def is watching, and Gemma is here. Thank you so much. And we've got tons of people on Facebook and YouTube. Evan absolutely cracked me up in our live chat by saying surprise bulletin on YouTube. And then in all caps, Americans are fat. Yes, sadly, this is true. And I absolutely hate it. Evan is joined by Amplified Truth. We've got XVI watching. We've got Dutch Canadian watching over in the Netherlands. So grateful for you, Dutch Canadian, and tuning in all the way across the Atlantic Ocean every time. Sai is watching on YouTube. Joseph is here. And Tia is here as well. Over on Facebook, we've got Jay watching in Minnesota. Ricky is here. Amy is watching on Facebook, and many, many others as well. So grateful for all of you guys. Thank you for being here. You guys are the GOATs, especially if you are part of our United States Army on the 248th birthday of the Army. I got to scroll back up and remind myself. Yep, 248th birthday of the Army. If you are currently serving, if you have served in the Army, thank you so much for your service. We love and appreciate you and could not thank you enough for preserving the freedom that we enjoy here as a not just right, but a privilege every single day in the US of A, baby. We are so grateful for all of you. Unfortunately, that freedom sometimes means that people are free to believe in absolute nonsense and stupidity. And while we will fight for freedom all day, every day, here on the stream and in all of my content, we have to go out of our way freely to defeat stupidity and lies with the truth. And one of the biggest, dumbest things that I have encountered on the internet as of late has been the repeated nonsense talking point that if you try to eat healthy foods, then you are fat phobic. That if you go to the gym regularly or exercise regularly, then you are fat phobic. If you go for walks or hikes or spend time outside for the purpose of exercising and potentially losing weight, then you are fat phobic. And spoiler alert, if you are fat phobic in modern day society, then chances are you are also probably, as you'll find out today, racist, a white supremacist, somehow misogynistic, because women are supposed to be fat, but not men, apparently. Why we came up with this idea and attitude culturally, I have absolutely no idea. And just overall, you are an angry, bigoted, evil person if you want to take care of yourself and eat healthy food and exercise and move your body and, God forbid, prevent obesity in your life and prevent diabetes in your life or a whole host of other very extreme health conditions that America is dealing with at unprecedented rates today in 2023. And I first encountered this lie really when? A couple of months ago? A long time ago. About a year ago, I think, maybe even a little bit more than a year ago, when I saw a headline go super viral on social media saying if you go to the gym, that if you are regularly going to the gym and you promote gym culture and you go to exercise quite frequently and that's a part of your daily routine, then you are promoting, whether you realize it or not, white supremacy. And I have no idea where that article came from. I think it might have been BuzzFeed or Teen Vogue. It was over a year ago at this point, but I made a video on TikTok reading the contents of this article. I didn't even respond to it. I didn't provide any commentary. I was just providing a reading, if you will, a theatrical performance reading of this particular article showing how absolutely mind-bogglingly insane it was and how unbelievably based in lies this article was, because they were basically saying that the roots of gym culture and regularly making exercise a part of your daily routine and going to a gym to work out came from the Nazis, apparently, according to this article. So I made a video about it on TikTok, just reading the article, and within days, my entire TikTok account had been suspended for hate speech and hateful activity and repeated violation, apparently, of TikTok's community guidelines. I am a big believer in TikTok, despite all of the insane censorship that happens over there, which is a conversation for another time, and you guys can go find different streams where we've talked about TikTok at length, and their community guidelines and censorship has gotten significantly better since then. As you guys also know, my TikTok account I often refer to as the Lazarus of TikTok accounts, because no matter how many times it is permanently suspended or permanently shut down, it somehow always finds a way to come back after an appeals process that I never, in fact, violated any community guidelines. But that article and that video from over a year ago was really the first time that I started seeing the body positivity movement transition from everybody is beautiful and everybody deserves to feel great in their own skin and everybody is accepted and loved and whatever, regardless of what size you wear, which has been somewhat of a modern idea, but really has existed for several decades at this point. It transitioned from that into, if you are not fat, you are evil. If you are not morbidly obese, then you hate obese people, apparently. If you are not fat, then you are probably a white supremacist or misogynistic or upholding all of these other horrible systems of oppression in society. And ever since I first saw that article and all of the videos that accompanied it, I have seen video after video after video and post after post after post insisting that obesity is beautiful, that fitness should never be for the purpose of losing weight, but only to feel good mentally or emotionally about yourself. That if you are skinny, then you are perpetuating like outdated, horrible systems of beauty standards that are no longer welcome in today's society, even if that never has anything to do with why you are thin, and a whole host of other lies. So I thought it would be fun to show you a few of those videos here in a moment, and we'll get to them here on the stream. But I want to just kick off this entire conversation by informing you of something that I learned today. It took me until today to learn this information, despite the fact that the article I'm about to show you came out on September 16th of 2015. So this article is 8 years old. 8 years old. And we all know since COVID, diabetes and cancer and all kinds of other problems have absolutely skyrocketed by locking people in their homes and shutting them out of the gym or telling them that they weren't allowed to go outside and work out. And obesity has also skyrocketed, especially childhood obesity, since COVID. But this information and this data and these statistics goes back even further, 8 years, in fact, to 2015 from the American Institute of Cancer Research, that today in the 2020s, but also 8 years ago, so this number is probably significantly higher at this point, half of adults in the United States, 50%, 1 in 2, have either diabetes already or are diagnosed with something called pre-diabetes, meaning that you have an extremely high risk to contract type 2 diabetes because of all kinds of blood tests and BMI indexes and all of that doctors will often perform to diagnose you with pre-diabetes. So again, this information is 8 years old, and we know that rates of both diabetes and cancer, which are statistically associated with obesity and can often be causational from obesity, that has only skyrocketed since 2020. So it's probably more than half by now in 2023 of United States adults already have diabetes or pre-diabetes. And we're specifically talking about type 2 diabetes, by the way, not type 1. Type 2 usually being because of a lifestyle or because of your diet or how you are currently living your life. So reading back this information from 8 years ago, this is the year I graduated from high school and started college. At that time, about 1 out of every 2 American adults has or is at risk of, direct risk, not like potential way down in the future, direct risk of having diabetes, with approximately a third of those who already have diabetes completely unaware of the fact that they have it. And in case you didn't already know this, people who have type 2 diabetes are already at an increased risk for cancer, pretty much every single kind of cancer, but there's a higher risk for several specific types of cancer. If you have type 2 diabetes, you have approximately twice the risk, 2 times more likely of developing liver cancer, pancreatic cancer, or endometrial cancer. If you have type 2 diabetes, you are 20 to 50% more likely to develop colon cancer, rectal cancer, postmenopausal breast cancer, which is in and of itself a little bit less common than premenopausal breast cancer, but more likely if you have type 2 diabetes, and bladder cancer as well. So shockingly, half of the United States is already at risk, or almost directly at risk, like right over the edge of the cliff, of having a twice as likely reality of contracting liver cancer, pancreatic cancer, endometrial cancer, and 20 to 50% more likely to contract colon cancer, rectal cancer, postmenopausal breast cancer, and bladder cancer, because we all have type 2 diabetes, apparently, or are like literally about to get type 2 diabetes. And if you ever had asked me when I was in high school, or even when I was in college at this time, I started college in 2015, as a pre-med student studying biomedical sciences with the intention of becoming a surgeon. If you ever would have asked me at that time to predict that half of the country would be contracting type 2 diabetes, probably because of obesity, most likely because of obesity and our diet. I would have thought you were up the freaking wall insane. Maybe I was just very unaware of how bad things truly were. Maybe I was blindly naive to the fact that we still taught the risks of obesity in school. At least I was experiencing that in my biomedical sciences curriculum. But instead, and we've all seen this since 2020, the entire narrative has been flipped on its head that you are perfect just the way you are. Everything is great just the way it is. And if you say you need to change, if you say you need to adopt a healthier lifestyle, if you tell someone they need to go to the gym or eat healthier food or start taking care of themselves and watch out for their blood pressure, not only is it not okay, it's actually evil. You are actually fat phobic. You are actually racist and misogynistic and all of the other things that we'll unpack here in just a bit. So it's incredibly obvious to me that the cultural narrative of that transition in the body positive movement away from everybody is beautiful and deserves respect to if you're not fat, then you are evil, has directly contributed to higher rates of obesity and therefore higher rates of diabetes and cancer and everything else in between. Those two things are clearly directly linked and are causational, not correlational. Because the more we continue to neglect the overt objective truth, the reality scientifically that an obese status with your health is bad for you, rather than something to be celebrated, the sicker people are getting. And the more upside down our culture becomes, and the more we shroud actual hatred for people in driving them to a literal early death in progressive love, sunshine and rainbows, kumbaya, because we love you just the way you are, even though us loving you just the way you are is literally driving you to an early grave. I'll be the first person to admit I am lazy. I am lazy AF. My parents will tell you this. My fiance will tell you this. I will go through seasons in my life where I will hit the gym every single day for like 6 months and be so unbelievably happy and be in the best shape of my life and take really, really good care of myself and be eating like a paleo diet and cut out all the processed crap from my diet. And then I completely fall off the wagon and I don't go to the gym for like 3 months, and then I eat processed crap and I feel like garbage, and the cycle continues. I am the first person to admit that I need this advice that I'm giving on the stream just as much as anyone else, and that taking care of yourself often has far, far, far bigger application than just what your weight on the scale is. In fact, almost all of the time, it has much bigger application than just what your weight on the scale is. And I am the first person to admit I need to go hit the gym today, because I didn't go tomorrow, but I didn't go yesterday, but I did go on Monday, and my legs hurt so bad from leg day and lifting in the gym. But I'll be that first person to admit that. I am not perfect. I am not the arbiter of truth in living out the truth today, as Isabel Brown is today on June 14th of 2023. I'd love to be a shredded fitness influencer who has all the energy in the world because I only feed myself natural, non-processed foods and I don't even need coffee to get up in the morning or stay awake during the day. Speaking of, thank you to my fiance for making this cup of coffee for me 2 seconds ago. I will be that first person to admit that. But isn't it better? Isn't it more progressive? Isn't it truly loving of our society to at least try? To at least put one foot in front of the other and drag our butts to the gym even if we don't want to go. To at least acknowledge, I don't physically feel my best when I'm overweight. I might not care how I look. I might not care that it's impacting the actual logistics of my life, that I feel pain in my joints, that I can't fit in an airplane seat, that certain people don't want to date me. I might not care about any of that, but can we at least acknowledge I don't feel good when I live like this? Can we start to acknowledge all of the yummy processed crap that we put into our bodies every single day makes us feel like we're exhausted, makes us feel like we have no energy, is directly contributing to an unhealthy lifestyle? if we even can't do that, can we at least acknowledge up front, type 2 diabetes and cancer and strokes and blood clots and gallbladder disease and osteoarthritis, bone disease, wasting away of your bones, and muscle loss and mental health issues like clinical depression and anxiety, all associated with obesity, can we at least acknowledge and agree on the fact that everything that I just said is bad? Can we start there? Because I'm looking around at our culture that is continuously not just glorifying and beautifying and celebrating morbid obesity, but is actually going one step further to attack legitimate health and fitness and true self-care, true self-love as evil. Almost like, tinfoil hat moment, there's some sort of agenda behind all of that. Who could have possibly guessed? I told you guys that a couple weeks ago, 2 weekends ago, I went up to Orlando because I was trying to do a little bit of citizen journalism and get on the ground to make a video as just an average Joe about what certain companies were doing to promote and push Pride Month into everybody's face right at the get-go of June. And so my fiance and I, we now live in Miami. We drove up to Orlando, Florida to do a little vlog for you guys about Disney and what Disney World was doing to celebrate Pride Month. And as you all know, that vlog does not exist because, to my absolute shock, amazement, and pleasant surprise, Walt Disney World wasn't really shoving Pride Month down the throats of anybody. There was a few merch stands here and there and a handful of rainbow signage on a few different things. And for whatever reason, Stitch stuffed animals covered in rainbow flags. Why Stitch? I don't know. That was the only character other than Mickey Mouse that was like prided out. But I didn't even have enough material to actually make a vlog, which I was pleasantly surprised by. But along the way, as I've spent more time in theme parks, which I never grew up going to as a kid, they were always too far away. We lived in Colorado, and my mom always took us on vacation to go to the national parks and road trip throughout the American West because, in her words, we don't spend money to stand in line for fake things, girls, is what she would always tell her daughters. I never spent a lot of time at theme parks growing up, but the more time that I have spent at theme parks, I've been to Universal LA once, Universal Orlando once, and then now Disney World twice for trying to make that vlog that doesn't exist. I have noticed just the absolute morbid obesity of the American population. And when I say that, I'm not saying that to attack a specific individual. I'm not saying that to say you are a bad person if you are overweight. I'm not trying to say that you are hated or not beautiful or not respected by saying that we are all living unhealthy lifestyles. But on multiple occasions, I had to turn and look at my fiance while we were at Disney World and look at each other dead in the eyes and say, please, please, please make me a promise right now. We are not going to let our family live like this, because the unhappiness that I saw with people who were physically uncomfortable all day long, who couldn't fit on certain rides, who had to drive around on the little scooters. By the way, missed marketing opportunity from Walt Disney World to brand the scooters Wall-E, because that's literally what is happening at Walt Disney World. Missed marketing opportunity, but the level of discomfort and upset feelings and just pain that I saw people walking around in simply because they had lived an unhealthy lifestyle and weren't able to enjoy themselves at a theme park blew my mind and was so unbelievably sad. And I've started to realize through literally seeing the American obesity epidemic with my own eyes, but also the unfolding of this narrative that we're going to break through on the stream today that I see on TikTok and Instagram and in certain publications, I'm regularly confronted with this reality that it's no longer about everybody is beautiful. It is no longer about everybody is respected. It is no longer about it doesn't matter what your weight is, you're still an equal human being. Our culture and the powers that be, the people driving this agenda that we'll unpack at the end of the stream, because believe it or not, there actually is an agenda behind all of this. They want you to be fat. They want you to be obese. They want you to be miserable. When you're miserable, you have to go look elsewhere for solutions because you're not finding it within yourself. When you are obese, you're probably going to deal with a whole host of other illnesses and conditions that probably require medication. When you're pre-diabetic, which means you're at risk of becoming super diabetic from becoming super obese, you probably need to take some medication. And products can be sold to you to fix this problem that they are manufacturing at the outset. Can't even talk. I'm so passionate about this subject. They are convincing you that culture is oppressive and hates you. So you have to become fat or just stay fat. Don't even try to escape from it. You're bigoted if you try to escape from it. How dare you do anything to fix it yourself? But now that it can't be fixed and you can't fix it yourself, here's a whole host of medications and products and entertainment solutions and everything else under the sun to cater to you that we can sell to you because you need what we are selling. Even though we convinced you up front of a problem that didn't exist. A problem that doesn't need to exist because we have the power in and of ourselves to prevent the vast, vast, vast majority of all of the health issues that we're going to be talking about on today's stream. If we are proactively taking care of ourselves today through a very small number of intentional choices, it doesn't have to look like overhauling your entire life. It doesn't have to look like eating the carnivore diet or paleo and cutting out every single piece of processed thing ever, although probably should be something on your mind. It doesn't have to look like 3-a-days at the gym or spending 6 hours at the gym. It doesn't have to look like cosmetic surgery to not look fat or anything radical. Literally, all this takes is a very small number of intentional decisions that you have the power and capacity to make today to prevent these issues from existing down the line. Unfortunately, they want those problems to exist down the line. They need those problems to exist down the line. So they will go out of their way to convince you that unless you are sick, unless you are intentionally making yourself susceptible to disease, you are evil and bigoted and racist and misogynistic. And they do this in a whole host of ways, be it through targeted publications and op-eds and things that we see on social media and everything in between. They do this with changing the definitions of obesity to make it more difficult to be actually diagnosed with obesity, which is what we just saw with the CDC adjusting obesity rates to make overweight kids less likely to be called obese, even though they are obese. We're just moving the benchmarks for what obesity is. It looks like convincing you that foods healthy for you are actually really terrible for you and everything in between. But I think it's important for us to be able to recognize this for what it is when it is happening. And what it is a targeted, clear marketing and messaging campaign to gaslight and lie to you that obesity is not just accepted, it's not just tolerated, it's beautiful. It's the future. It's healthy even, and should become not just normalized, but the norm in society, rather than something to actively work to prevent. We see this all over the place, this targeted messaging campaign, because it's happening right before our very eyes. If you Google fat magazine covers, this is happening on the cover of every single women's health magazine, women's fitness magazine, and even women's beauty and lifestyle magazine to try to convince you that this should be the norm. Here's the cover of Cosmo in the UK from October of 2018. Total chic. We love to see this. This supermodel, Tess Holliday, wants the haters to kiss her ass. It says underneath me. It's like hiding right here. You see this on Self magazine with the same girl. Oops, I'm moving the wrong thing. This is a plus-size supermodel. I'll make myself smaller. Plus-size supermodel on the cover of Self magazine. Tess Holliday's health is none of your business on a glossy, edited magazine cover. How about Smith magazine? Be prepared for the continued audacity of fat people. I don't know about you, but I do feel like this is pretty audacious. The audacity. Fabu Plus, No body shame. Live your best life now. Secrets to self-love. Love the body that you have. Not the body you could have if you took care of yourself, but the body that you have today. There was a whole series put out by Cosmo American. This was Cosmo in the UK. This was the United States version of Cosmopolitan magazine, where they had plus-size models and frankly obese models grace the cover of all their magazines saying, "This is healthy." Here's one of them. "This is healthy. 11 women on why wellness does not have to be one size fits all." I'm sure I can find another one. Oh, it's right here. "This is healthy." That's healthy, according to Cosmopolitan magazine. Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. How about the cover of Vogue? Lizzo, perhaps the most notorious celebrity for telling people that you should never want to escape fatness. If you work out, it should only be for your mental health. It should never be to change the shape of your body, because if you change the shape of your body, that makes you pretty darn bigoted at the end of the day, doesn't it? Notice, by the way, how you never see any of these magazine covers glorifying obesity and promoting obesity, calling it health. You never do. For men. The only magazines that are ever put out there to promote and glorify obesity and convince you that this is somehow the future and should be normalized are put out for women. Men's health magazines, which we'll Google here in a second, look like they're shredded and taking care of themselves and eating really healthily and going to the gym, taking pride in their actual body image. Meanwhile, this is promoted as the future of fitness, the relentlessness reality of anti-fatness in fitness for women. So, if I'm understanding this right, women can be obese, but not men. Look at this. Men's health magazines, if you just Google this. Michael B. Jordan, absolutely ripped. Absolutely ripped. Absolutely ripped. Absolutely ripped. Absolutely ripped. Absolutely ripped. All of these people can take wonderful care of themselves. KSI had quite the glow up, by the way, just a complete side note, as he was preparing for fighting. Quite the glow up. Muscle after 40. No equipment, no excuses. Total body workout. So men have no excuses, but for women, the future of fitness is obesity. Men's health stays strong at any age. Men's health stronger than ever. Men's health, six-pack abs. Men's health, fight fat. Fight fat and win. So Henry Cavill's allowed to fight fat, but you as a woman certainly are not. If you fight fat as a woman, you are fatphobic, and you are evil, and you are outdated and mean, and you are just a mean girl. Why are women accepting this clearly marketed campaign of lies? To keep you miserable, literally. Because as we all know from Elle Woods, exercise gives you endorphins, and endorphins make you happy. And happy people just don't kill their husbands. They just don't. The powers that be, I guess, want you to kill your husband, apparently. They want you miserable. They want you sick. They want you single. Then there are products to sell to you. Everything from pharmaceuticals to dating apps to entertainment and magazines and plus-size clothing and everything in between. But this isn't just happening through legacy media. It's happening through the entertainment industry. I mentioned Lizzo is going out of her way to basically be the world's spokeswoman for Stay Fat Forever. In a recent interview that she's done, or it wasn't an interview, in a recent TikTok duet situation, she duetted a TikTok about somebody saying they were looking to find gym culture that wasn't about losing weight, but was just about being healthy. And first of all, let me just say up front, anybody should be going to the gym. It doesn't matter what you look like going to the gym. Anybody should be working out regularly and taking care of themselves. I don't care what size clothing you wear. I don't care what your weight on the scale is. I don't care if it's your first day. I'm unbelievably excited for you that you are going, because it does directly impact both your physical and your mental health. But there is so much potential societal backlash for Lizzo trying to take care of herself and perform on stage and dance and sing, which requires you to be in pretty good overall shape. She got canceled about a year ago by all of her fans for going to the gym because she wasn't actually body positive if she was going to the gym. So now she actually has to overcorrect and go out of her way to explain to people that going to the gym is not, quote, trying to escape fatness, and that she doesn't ever want to be thin, but instead she has to go and take care of herself, not to escape fatness, but to be holistic in exercising for her mental health and endurance, but not to look skinny. No, 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 no. That would be really bad, wouldn't it? And that type of narrative is shaping the exact conversation that we're seeing on social media all over the place, particularly on TikTok. If you search in the TikTok search bar, just fat, that's it. You don't have to search anything else. You will be shocked how many results come up exactly like these videos I'm about to show you.
Want to know what shampoo brands?
We're going to come back to that one. Ready? Here you go.
Here's your reminder that fatphobia is rooted in racism. As always,
Fatphobia is rooted in racism, apparently. So another way to convince blue-haired white liberal women to not work out or not take care of themselves, because they certainly don't want to be called racist.
is if you haven't read this book,
Don't read
go
the book.
do that. The main thing to understand is that for the last 300-ish years, white folks have been marketing fatness as a black trait. And this is regardless of whether or not black people individually were actually fat. That was irrelevant. The message they spread...
I'm sorry. Can literally any of you, anyone, one person, explain to me in the live chat right now how white people have been marketing fatness as a black trait for the last 300 years? Was it not a black trait before the last 300 years? Did racism suddenly start existing 300 years ago? And why would you want to market fatness as a black trait 300 years ago? What's the benefit societally or culturally to that?
was that black women specifically were ravenous and uncontrollable, and these barbaric traits made them fat. On the flip side, thinness was marketed as a white trait. Again, regardless of whether or not individual white people were actually thin, that was irrelevant. The idea was that white women specifically were refined and restrained, and this led them to having delicate, thin bodies. Over the years, these messages have become more subtle, but even today, they are still very prevalent in conversations around race, health, capitalism, and poverty.
Of course, because there's no such thing as promoting health when you are consistently, intersectionally promoting oppression in society. And you'll notice in every single one of these videos, they go out of their way to just fit as many buzzwords as they possibly can into the same sentence to convince you that fat phobia is all around us and is just another way to be racist, to be anti-health, apparently, to be an evil capitalist, and keep promoting poverty. How about this one?
When people are fat phobic on this platform, you
TikTok, that's where this came from.
should be uncomfortable. You should be
Long pause.
uncomfortable.
She's got a lot to say. All right.
It is irresponsible to come on an app where there are vulnerable young people
Long pause.
and be so fat phobic.
African Warlord just said she's actually wheezing. Like, I feel so bad for this girl that we have literally gaslit her into thinking that she has to scream her head off instead of take care of herself. Like, I can't understand that. The long pause.
To spread such hate and harm.
How is this hateful or harmful? We'll get into that in a second and debunk that lie at the end of the stream.
And do it under the guise of caring about people.
I do care about you.
And making it about people not caring about themselves. You don't get to do that.
She's angry. Very angry. Maybe she needs some endorphins.
And it's tolerated too much. And it's made light of heart too much.
I don't think it's lighthearted.
Fat phobia should make you uncomfortable because it is intertwined with every single other system of oppression that exists.
What did I say? What did I say?
It is related to sexism, racism, homophobia, xenophobia.
Just gotta fit all of them in.
Classism.
Sure, naturally.
And so when you talk about one, you talk about it all. Which is why I say it is irresponsible, disrespectful, and hateful to come on this app and be fat phobic. And that is all I have to say on the matter.
That's all I have to say on the matter, but her video is literally 56 more seconds, so I'm pausing it right there. I feel like I am like in class. Remember when you were a kid and you're in class and your teacher is yelling at the class because you're laughing and you literally can't stop laughing and you're just looking at your friend and you're like, please don't explode in laughter. That's how I feel watching this girl's video, and she's giving me the literal death stare through the screen right now. Like my soul is like, oh, I feel scared.
Because I've already said too much on the matter.
But you have 1 whole minute left in this video.
And people are not uncomfortable enough for me. They're too comfortable. And I know it talked about ushering people to their seats, sitting people down, but I need you all to get up out of your seats and stop being so complicit and complacent.
But wait, wouldn't that be exercising? Wouldn't getting up out of your seat to do something be exercising? And isn't exercising fat phobic?
When it comes to fat phobia, stand up and show up. Learn something. And to learn, you need to unlearn. And it shouldn't be on us to teach you. But it is on you to stop spewing hateful, false, fat phobic rhetoric. And furthermore, being tolerable of it.
Oh boy.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. She had quite a bit to say, didn't she? Here's more. Oh, sorry in advance for this one. She has underwear on, just so you know. It's hard to see. She's not naked. Let's just listen to this one, because this is a new one that I have yet to hear until today.
How come when my stomach looks like this, everyone thinks I'm pregnant, but when a man's stomach looks like this, everyone just knows that's his stomach? Like, that's hella sexist.
That's hella sexist, bro. We got one more.
Not like racism, it is racism. Anti-fatness is rooted in anti-blackness. And the reason why people are pursuing thinness is because they're pursuing proximity to whiteness.
Anti-fatness is rooted in anti-blackness. And the reason people are pursuing thinness is because they are pursuing proximity to whiteness, apparently. Should someone call every single minority that competes for the United States on behalf of the United States Olympic team? Should somebody just let them know that if they are on the U.S. gymnastics team, like Simone Biles, or Gabby Douglas, or Lori Hernandez, or Suni Lee, or literally any of those girls, that if they are pursuing being fit to compete on the U.S. gymnastics team, they're pursuing proximity to whiteness? Somebody should just alert the presses. That's all I'm saying.
The reason why people hate fat people is because people hate...
So the reason why people hate fat people is because people hate black people, apparently. And again, you can just go to TikTok and type in the word fat in the search bar and get any number of these videos. These were like the first 4 that I saw and just downloaded to share with you. There are literally infinite out there because we have literally gone out of our way to systematically indoctrinate through every pillar of American society, through the food pyramid and the health experts in our country, through our education system, through our doctor's offices, through big pharma, through traditional media with all the magazine covers we just looked at, through the entertainment industry and Hollywood, thanks to lovely spokespeople on behalf of Stay Fat Forever, Lizzo, and several others, and now through social media, where we interact with most of our content and information every day, that the only way to be a good person, the only way to be accepting, the only way to avoid being called a white supremacist or a racist or misogynistic and anti-women or homophobic or transphobic or classist, as we heard from that lovely one video, or any other horrible, bigoted, ignorant, hateful label, is to be obese, but only for women, not for men. Because men are already toxic anyway, so you can just continue being toxic. But it's our job in society to keep women fat. Or else. There is no or else. Well, newsflash, people. I don't care how often you get called any of those labels. I don't care how often people genuinely assume that you are a racist, genuinely assume that you are a classist or homophobic or transphobic or misogynistic or anti-woman. I don't care. Because if we were truly body positive in our society, if we were truly loving of the people around us, our friends, our family members, and ourselves, if we truly practiced self-love, if we were truly progressive as a society, if we were truly pro-science, trust the science as a society, we would go out of our way to seek the truth. We would be running, quite literally, as fast and as far away from obesity as we possibly could. And don't just take my word for it. Don't take the tinfoil hat Christian conspiracy theorist girl's word for it. Take science's word for it. Take objective truth's word for it. That obesity is not something to be glorified. It's not something to make excuses for. It's not something to call the future of fitness. It's not something to gloss the cover of every single women's magazine as beautiful. It's something that's destroying our lives, piece by piece by piece by piece. And apparently they're not teaching this in school anymore. Apparently this is no longer general human knowledge from around the world. This has to be sought after, but you don't have to search too far to figure out that if you are overweight or obese, which is becoming more and more prevalent by the day, apparently, you have an increased risk for many, many, many infinite serious diseases and conditions, including literally all causes of death. All causes of death. You have a higher risk of mortality in every way, shape, or form if you are overweight or obese compared to a healthy weight. And just some of those all causes of death might be high blood pressure, high cholesterol, type 2 diabetes, which we've already discussed is impacting literally up to half of America in the very near future. Coronary heart disease, which is terrible, meaning you'd have to lay on a surgery operating table for them to cut your chest open and operate on your heart at some point if it gets bad enough. A stroke, which can kill you. Gallbladder disease, osteoarthritis, meaning your bones literally start withering away. Sleep apnea, so you can't sleep. Breathing problems, I think we saw that from one of those videos. Many, 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 many types of cancer, pretty much every type of cancer for the most part, extremely low quality of life, actual pain in your body when you're moving around and trying to function as a normal, healthy human being, and interestingly, this guy. If you are overweight or obese, you have a significantly higher increased risk to be diagnosed with a mental illness like clinical depression, anxiety, and other mental health disorders. I seem to recall from just a few weeks ago, Johnny, thank you so much for your tip in our local super chat. Appreciate you so much. You are the GOAT. I seem to recall from just a few weeks ago on the stream uncovering another study from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, telling us that we have record high numbers, record high rates of anxiety, of depression, of suicidation, of substance abuse, of every other mental health illness. And we know we have record high levels of people self-identifying as LGBTQ+ and saying that they are experiencing gender dysphoria, which up until about 5 minutes ago was classified in the DSM as a mental health condition, as a mental illness. So that's an interesting little tidbit. We know that teenagers today are more likely to consider suicide than ever before in human history. Up to 1 in 3 teenage girls, the people that we're encouraging to stay fat, seriously contemplating taking her own life in 2021 in America. We know that we are mass prescribed opiates and pharmaceuticals and antidepressants and anti-anxiety meds and everything else to just help us get through the day, which maybe we wouldn't need if we had endorphins or a healthy blood pressure or a healthy heart or healthy lungs or a healthy stomach or just a healthy brain in general. Interesting. We know that the FDA is continuing to approve certain foods that actually are really, really, really bad for us and contain plastic, microplastics, or literal toxins in them, but they're healthy enough for the American person, the average American consumer, that would never be allowed to be approved for market use in Europe or in South America or in Israel or in Asia. Interesting. We also know that this particular presidential administration, on day one of the presidency, made the cost of insulin significantly higher and has made repeated decisions with the FDA to raise the price of pharmaceuticals compared to the last presidential administration, and has pretty much stopped fighting the opioid epidemic and has encouraged pharmaceutically driven solutions for gender dysphoria for kids or for mental problems with kids, because the best way to fix all of these things is through a pill. Interesting. Almost like an entire industry or several industries could directly benefit from keeping you fat. Interesting. We know that in the wake of Roe v. Wade being overturned, the mass market solution is to just hand out free birth control pills, which alter your hormone signaling systems and often give you an increased risk for being overweight or weight gain, not to mention the whole host of other dozens of other issues you are guaranteed to face if you are taking hormonal birth control pills. I quit after 9 years a couple of years ago, never will look back, and we've talked about that a lot on the stream. Interesting to think about. And when you start putting all of these puzzle pieces together while we play the tinfoil hat game, which is always fun for us to play on the stream, it is really, really easy for us to start understanding that all of the things we see as problems in modern society are directly interconnected, are directly intertwined with one another, go hand in hand with one another, because chances are somebody, the proverbial they out there, the powers that be, stands to benefit from you being confused, sick, miserable, obese, overweight, poor, losing your faith, anxious, depressed, suicidal, looking for answers. Somebody stands to benefit. So who is that? Who does stand to benefit? Who is the proverbial they? And how are they manipulating this messaging through media and the content we consume every day to indoctrinate us into believing that lies have become truth and truth have become lies? I think it's important for us to answer that. Moon in our YouTube chat says, woo, finally got here for the live chat. What days and times do you usually have your streams? Usually we start right at 3 p.m. Eastern all across every platform. I'm so glad that you guys are here. So let's answer that question, because I think that that's important, right? If we are in fact at risk by believing being fat, as women especially, is good for us, for all of these issues that we just talked about, for literally all causes of death, I think it stands to reason that we deserve to know who is crafting the narrative to keep us fat, to drive us to an early grave. Who's trying to kill us? That sounds so hyperbolic and so exaggerating, but literally, who is trying to kill us? I would like to know, so that I can be sure not to buy any products from those people or not to listen to anything that they have to say, because chances are they have a vested interest in making sure I experience an early grave. And as I was researching all of this stuff, a different account on TikTok came across my For You page, and it really got me thinking about this issue at large. Who is the proverbial they? Who are all of these people in power? Who are the powers that be that are specifically pulling all of the strings to drive a new global agenda in which we are always sick, tired, anxious, overweight, depressed, suicidal, confused about our gender, and paying gazillions of dollars to different solutions, be it a pharmaceutical company, an entertainment escape, or anything else, to fix those issues that never needed to exist in the first place. Who are they? And this guy came across my TikTok For You page today, going through Target and scanning different products to see who owns them. Let's check this out.
You want to know which shampoo brands are family owned and which ones make your hair fall out? I went to Target and I found the real hair care aisle and another one. We have time, we'll even do the little men's aisle here at the end. This game's simple. We're looking for any brand that's not owned by a mega corporation, or at least a brand that is not in a class action lawsuit for shampoo that makes your hair fall out. No joke. Starting off with Pantene. Who owns Pantene?
You might think that this is unrelated, by the way, but you'll see how this is directly related to the obesity epidemic in America in just a second.
Procter & Gamble. And if your top shareholders are a bunch of fund managers and banks, no one gives a shit about a hair product in your aisle. So Pantene looks like that. What about OGX? I accidentally went down this rabbit hole about this Brazilian oil company, and I met this billionaire who was an international speedboat champion, got arrested for like major fraud. He was once worth $32 billion. And boasted that he would overtake our buddy Carlos Slim as the richest man in the world by 2015. And then his wealth went from this peak of 32 billion to a negative net worth.
This is like total rabbit hole that this guy goes in, but I think it's absolutely hilarious.
Of over 100% losses. Top it all off, he got indicted for a $100 million money laundering scheme, paying off the governor of Rio de Janeiro $16 million. And he is now on a, 30-year sentence in prison. I was like, what is going on? But then I think I realized it was the wrong OGX, and we're talking about a different criminal OGX. That's right, you really can't make this shit up. OGX shampoo is in a class action lawsuit for putting in chemicals that cause hair loss. And it's not just that.
And who are they owned by? You can see it right behind his head. Johnson & Johnson.
Oh, and by the way, OGX is owned by Johnson & Johnson. And we have seen this sheet several times before. So, now that we're back on track, here's our aisle. Moving down, it's more of the same. Then we scooch on down and we find herbal essences, which is obviously not so herbal. So we'll just color their whole section in red. Ah, shit, well, we've done this before. We got Unilever. And if you don't know, now you know. And at the end of the aisle, we got Tresemme. Is that French? That must be good for your hair. Yeah, totally. Not to mention that if you were paying attention...
Also, same company. Same company. Also Unilever. So of like the 5 shampoo brands we've looked at today, they all go back to 3 companies so far. 2 of which are in class action lawsuits about making your hair fall out, which is not what shampoo is supposed to do.
To realize that Tresemme is also making your hair fall out. So that's aisle number 1. Welcome to Target. Okay, aisle number 2. We already did Suave. Unilever gave away their North
Unilever!
American business to private equity. But fuck them, I'm feeling spicy this morning. We're giving them straight up red. Next we got Garnier Fructis, L'Oreal, Group.
Okay, we've got a fourth company. That's it so far.
Oop. Oh shit, L'Oreal's family owned, man.
Mostly.
Still owned by the Bettencourt Myers family. That's so cool. I mean, L'Oreal can go fuck itself.
Yeah, so it literally makes your hair fall out also.
That ain't cool. Fuck these billionaires. That's right.
I doubt this person and I have similar political beliefs at all, but it is hilarious watching these people unpack the conspiracy here.
Red. How about Aussie? Yeah, you know the drill.
Ah.
Red. Oh, snap. But now we got all kinds of stuff going on. And by all kinds of stuff, I mean a whole bunch of companies making products that will put the hair back in your head that they already made fall out. These are the ones that we already investigated with their cute little different types of bottles and shit of fake ass drugs to fix the problem that they fucking made. Now we're gonna look into Axe and Vivena and Nioxin and whatever this stuff is down here in these bottles and this little horsey shit. All right, you ready to speed run this? Let's go, baby. Nioxin,
Procter &
Axis,
Gamble.
Unilever. Oh, hey, Viviscal,
Unilever.
Church & Dwight. That's new. Psych. Just another mega corporation.
Literally,
Plus is
they're
Procter
all the
Gamble.
same
Nexus
thing.
is Unilever. Next, we got this horse shampoo and whatever. Oh, wait a minute. I think that's Raw Sugar. Damn straight. We already met Raw Sugar. They are family founder owned.
I don't know much about that brand, by the way, Raw Sugar, but I've heard really good things about it. I use a completely unrelated shampoo company. We'll talk about shampoo later, but interesting.
Legit. Props to Donda. And if you know, then you already know that that horse shampoo is actually the shit.
Mane and
it's
tail,
owned by the
baby.
founders, and they got some dope ass story. And I'm not gonna dig too deep lest I discover something awful about it. I'm just making fun of them. It's not actually horse shampoo. It's called Mane and Tail.
You can use it for your horses, though. Growing up, when we would ride horses, we would use mane and tail all the time.
Check it out. So I think we finish off kind of like this.
That's it. That's literally
I
it.
don't know what that shit is. All right, moving down into the men's section. This is stuff we already did. Dove, men's, bullshit. Suave, men's, bullshit. Just gonna speed run all this all at once. Michiru is owned by Unilever. Old Spice is Procter & Gamble. Got to Be is owned by Schwarzkopf. Schwarzkopf is owned by Henkel. Henkel's ownership is a little different, but don't kid yourself. This is what a mega corporation looks like. Hers is like actually hims and hers, you know, erectile dysfunction pills that some homie started in 2017. We're not gonna dig any deeper. We're just gonna let him have his party. So you can put erectile dysfunction stuff in your hair if you want. Sorry, I'm just playing, Andrew. I'm just playing. Nizoral is owned by Kramer Laboratory, and Kramer Laboratory is having an identity crisis. I'm getting three different answers from my Google search. Turns out it all leads up to Banks Group. That's not promising. And that leads up to some private equity owned by Bart Becht. $30 billion worth of private equity. When in doubt, just type in your trusty Google search. Product name, lawsuits. And you'll find out that some of Nizaral's products are breaking up your liver.
So, as you guys saw, and we'll wrap all of this up, he goes way deep into like how this is impacting all of your health. If we go rewind a little bit and you see this, of the literally like 4 or 5 companies that own every single one of those products in all 3 of the Target shampoo aisles, most of them share the same 2 top investors. Most of them do. Number 1, the Vanguard Group, and number 2, BlackRock. Gee, that sounds awfully familiar, doesn't it? I know it does to all of you because you are absolutely smart people and you know more than the average person when you are watching this stream, but it should sound familiar to you because these are the same private equity individuals and groups that are running this crazy thing that always meets every year in Davos, Switzerland, called the World Economic Forum, that is absolutely hell-bent on making sure we experience a new world order, on making sure that society as we know it will be gone, that there will be a global system of governance, that we will not have any rights to self-defense, that freedom of expression will have to be moderated through everybody else, that you will be sick because they will control all of the food, because, by the way, eating food that is grown by the earth is actually really bad for the earth. So why don't we just grow it in laboratories, because that'll probably be a lot better. And every other mega weird, wacky, crazy tinfoil hat conspiracy theory that you've heard from the last several years. If you guys already aren't up to date on your World Economic Forum New World Order information, please go research all of this, and that's a different conversation for another time. But as Moon says in our live chat, I'm a hairstylist and I agree with everything he's saying. This is crazy. And follow the money. Follow the money. Because, as Dutch Canadian reminds us, Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street basically own everything. And to bring this conversation full circle back to the obesity epidemic and how it's impacting the United States of America, where most of these very successful billionaires are making most of their impact from a societal perspective to test out the New World Order, the exact same thing can be said about food. The exact same thing can be said about food. I'm going to make myself a little bit smaller here so that you guys can read this a little bit better. So this is a little handy chart, in case you're ever looking this up, for which companies own what at the grocery store, okay? Coca-Cola owns pretty much everything. Almost every type of soda, several types of water. They own different shampoos. They own both vitamin water and smart water and all of it. Like that, this is insane to me. This absolutely blows my mind. Coca-Cola owns Dasani, smart water, and vitamin water. So when you go to buy water at the store, you literally have no idea what you are buying. We're going to have to zoom in on this, I think, because I don't even know how else we're going to see this. It's so small. Here we go. They're a little bit messy, a little bit blurry, but that's okay. Unilever, who we also know owns pretty much every shampoo thing that we just looked, owns all kinds of different food companies at the grocery store, many of which you will probably recognize. The little popsicles in the freezer section, Klondike bars, Breyer's ice cream. I can't believe it's not butter. Fascinating. Dannon owns all of the yogurt, LOL, as we know, like Danimals, good memories back from childhood. We absolutely love to see it. But also Activia, also Evian water. How about Mars, which owns Wrigley, owns Lifesavers and Altoids and Starbursts and Uncle Ben's rice, which is no longer Uncle Ben's. Rest in peace, my friend. It's a brutal life. Juicy Fruit gum, 5 gum, Extra gum. Literally all the gum is owned by the same company. Orbit gum. It's the same company. You have no freedom of choice here, people. This is not a free market. Kellogg's owns pretty much every cereal ever made, which makes me feel great about walking through the cereal aisle. They also own a crap ton of breakfast food in the frozen aisle. Eggo waffles. No, I love Eggo waffles. Pop-Tarts. The Nutri-Grain bars. Lovely. Pringles. Chips. I love Pringles. This is all owned by the same company? I can't. General Mills owns everything. Cheerios. They own Captain Crunch. They own Lucky Charms. They own Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Cocoa Puffs, Chex, Total Cereal, Wheaties, all owned by the same company. PepsiCo, which as you might recognize from Pepsi and all of their associated beverages, Aquafina, Ocean Spray, Gatorade, Pepsi, 7-Up, Tropicana, Mug Root Beer, Sierra Mist, Izzy Soda, and everything in between. Izzy originally was a small business from Boulder, Colorado. Fun fact, where I grew up in Colorado. Also owns Quaker, which owns their own whole host of cereals and associated snack bars. Every potato chip known to man. Lay's, Fritos, Sun Chips, Cheetos, Tostitos, Ruffles, the pretzels, Gold Pretzels, all owned by PepsiCo. And then there's Nestle, the absolutely massive giant over there on the left, that owns everything. Like every single type of candy, every single type of coffee, everything. A bunch of ice cream, a bunch of frozen pizza. DiGiorno, California Pizza Kitchen, all of those are owned by the same company. And when you take the time to go look these up, you can look up these flow charts and everything about what companies control everything that you buy. It's not just for food. It's not just for personal hygiene products. We've actually gone through a lot of these on the stream several months ago, a long time ago, about car companies and entertainment. That's when things get really scary because it's basically like 2 companies that own everything. But as Business Insider unpacks for us, these companies, Nestle, PepsiCo, Coca-Cola, Unilever, Dannon, General Mills, Kellogg's, Mars, Associated British Foods, and Mondelez, each employ thousands and make billions of dollars in revenue every year. These 10 companies own everything and control everything that you buy in the food aisle. I made this big. We got to make it smaller again. Here we go. Sorry. Making it smaller. Easier for you guys to read. Okay. In an effort to push these companies to make positive changes and for customers to realize who controls the brands that they're buying, Oxfam created a mind-boggling infographic, which we just watched, that shows how interconnected consumer brands really are. Here's a further breakdown of the companies that own the brands. Kellogg's made $13.5 billion in 2015. They own everything. Cheez-Its, Pringles, Eggos, Fruit Loops, Frosted Flakes. Associated British Foods made $16 billion in 2015. General Mills made $17 billion in 2015, best known for cereals like Cheerios and Chex, but it also owns Yoplait, Hamburger Helper, Haagen-Dazs, and Betty Crocker. Dannon, $24 billion in 2015, best known for yogurts like Activia, Yo Crunch, and Oikos. Dannon also sells medical nutrition products and bottled water. Mondelez, $29 billion in 2015. Oreo, Trident Gum, and Sour Patch Kids. Mars, $33 billion in 2015. Best known for chocolate like M&M's, but also owns Uncle Ben's Rice, Starbursts, and Orbit Gum. Coca-Cola made $44 billion in 2015, obviously moving beyond soda, but also owned Dasani, Fuse, and Honest Tea. Unilever made $59 billion in 2015. Diverse list of brands includes Axe Body Spray, Lipton Tea, Magnum Ice Cream, and Hellmann's Mayo. PepsiCo made $63 billion in 2015. They own everything beyond all their sodas like Quaker Oatmeal, Cheetos, and Tropicana. Nestle made $87 billion in 2015, including Gerber baby food, fascinating, Perrier, DiGiorno, and Hot Pockets, plus, of course, candy brands including Butterfinger and Kit Kat. Did you notice while we were reading those lists, by the way, just as a side note, that every single one of the, you might recognize this thing, you might recognize the brand that they own, were all unhealthy. They were all potato chips or soda pop or candy or Axe body spray that's probably going to give you cancer if you've been using it forever. So just so you know, there is very clearly an agenda through all of this. But let's even go one step further, okay? Beyond what companies own everything, let's just ask ourselves, like the guy in the TikTok did, Nestle major shareholders. Aha! BlackRock, the Vanguard Group, JP Morgan Asset Management Incorporated. Interesting. All right, that's Nestle. How about PepsiCo? The Vanguard Group, BlackRock, State Street Global Advisors, and Charles Schwab Investment Management. Okay. Coca-Cola, Berkshire Hathaway, Vanguard, BlackRock. Interesting. We already looked up Unilever because of the TikTok, but let's just do it for kicks and giggles. BlackRock, JP Morgan Stanley, and the Vanguard Group. All right. Who else did we have on this list? Who else was on here? Mars. Mars is slightly better. Slightly. It's somewhat family owned. I feel slightly better about that. At least BlackRock's not in the top 5. But still not freaking great, I'll be honest with you. Let's keep going. Mondelez. All right, institutional investors. Okay, I feel slightly better about that. Oh, no, I don't. State Street Corporation. And of course, the Vanguard Group and BlackRock. This makes me feel so much joy and hope for the future of society. BlackRock, Vanguard, and Franklin Resources, Inc., top shareholders in Dannon. Do we need to keep going? Does this seem familiar to you? This is insane to me. Like, absolutely beyond mind-boggling to me that the same people who own all of the media, who are the major shareholders and investors in all of the social and independent media, who are the major donors to education, private and public, around the world and help to make sure that that is happening, who are meeting in Davos, Switzerland every year to discuss a new world order in which you will have no rights, you will own nothing, and you will be happy, are also the people selling us the thing that we need to survive in food and water. Which, by the way, if you go look at the ingredients of all of those foods that we think we need to survive that you go buy in the grocery store, you will run like hell. That's a conversation for another time about how all of those brands that those major companies own are killing you and making you obese. So is it obvious now? Am I the guy with the giant corkboard behind him and the red strings meme yet to you? These people want you fat. The same people who control what information you see on here and what information you see on the TV and read in a magazine or a newspaper. The same people who control what's being said in your classroom or on your college campus. The same people who pay to make Hollywood movies and make musical stars like Lizzo blow up and have major record deals. The same people who influence elections around the world and get certain people elected. The same people who feed you food because they own all of the food and then meet in Davos, Switzerland every year at the World Economic Forum to take all of your rights away, to institute a global government that looks a hell of a lot like the world looked in 2020 post-COVID, want you fat. They want you obese. They want you sick because they also own all of the pharmaceutical companies, by the way. They want you miserable. They want you confused. They want you subservient to them. Nothing corrupts more than power. Nothing. More than money, in my opinion. And absolute power corrupts absolutely. It does. We've seen it play out over and over and over and over again throughout all of human history. For the average person, going out of your way to make more informed and conscious decisions about where you're shopping and how you exercise and what food you're consuming is not as easy as just boycotting the grocery store, right? I mean, for the average American, you do get your food through the grocery store. You have to drive in a car that was probably produced by one of these companies that's owned by the Vanguard Group and BlackRock, who is all the same people that own the food companies we just went through. You have to go to a school every day or send your kids to a school every day that's influenced by the policies of a BlackRock. You have to go buy your food at a grocery store that's influenced by the policies and direct shareholder relationship of a BlackRock. Then you go home and you call people on a phone that was majorly influenced by a major shareholder in a BlackRock. You turn on the TV to watch some sort of escape or news over it all that's fed to you from a company that's specifically driven by a major shareholder in a BlackRock. So the idea of just boycotting all of it and running away is way too much, okay? It is way too much to wrap your head around. And I could totally understand that your brain is probably simultaneously imploding and exploding all at the exact same time. Because as Joseph points out in our live chat, what you have to realize is that if you have a 401k, you're also funding those companies. Like, you need a 401k and you need to buy food. You need a phone to survive today. I get it. I'm not encouraging that you BlackRock, blacklist, and boycott every single thing with their name on it. I get it. I totally understand. But where we can start defeating these lies is in those little intentional choices that we can make every single day as individuals that I mentioned earlier at the beginning of the stream. It's in choosing to wake up early tomorrow, also called white supremacy now, by the way. We're going to make a different video about that a later time. If you wake up early, you are racist. That's a new one. It's choosing to wake up early tomorrow and drag your butt to the gym for 30 minutes. 30 minutes. Or to take your dog on a walk around the block for 30 minutes. Just get your body moving. Tomorrow, I challenge you to go sign up and buy your meat through a Good Ranchers rather than going to the grocery store where you have absolutely no idea what country it came from, where that cow was raised, or what company influenced that from being delivered to you on a shelf. Tomorrow, wake up and make a choice to eat healthy, to cut out processed crap. Don't eat candy and sugar and potato chips. Make yourself a healthy meal from scratch. Go buy local produce this weekend at a farmer's market just once. It doesn't have to be this massive overhaul of your life tomorrow or today even. But when you start understanding that all of these problems, everything from critical race theory and BLM Inc. to the gender theory movement that is completely taking over the youth of our society and making all of us trans, basically, and encouraging child gender transition, to the food that we're buying at the grocery store and the insane obesity epidemic that we're seeing play out right before our very eyes in society, and therefore mass rates of diabetes and cancer and mental health. When you understand that a complete lack of border security and taking away your right to self-defense to protect yourself in the face of a too oppressive government and wanting to censor and silence you because the First Amendment protects so-called hate speech probably like this stream that you're listening to right now, and that goes against the agenda, when you start realizing that every single one of these things is intimately and directly connected to control and influence you, you have the greatest superpower in the entire world. And that is to courageously live a countercultural, healthy, wholesome, fulfilling, faith-driven lifestyle. Do not worship at the altar of BlackRock, which is the altar of entertainment and the government and the New World Order and consumerism and crony capitalism gone bad. I hope I just proved to you, by the way, that we're not living through a true free market system today. The illusion that you have of freedom of choice doesn't really exist today, which is a problem. When you can worship God over government, when you can worship God over BlackRock and all of the things that they control, you have been set free. When you can choose to take care of your body and to exercise and eat good food that you buy locally and don't have to go to the grocery store for, or you can even do your research and find it at the grocery store, you are not controlled by them. You've been set free. You're not owned by them. When you can consciously go out of your way to make little choices every day, like the food that you put in your body or the products that you wear for your makeup and your hair care and your skin care and lotion, or the clothes that you purchase, not supporting fast fashion, but something that's an investment for a long period of time that's not going to end up in a landfill or involve Chinese slave labor to make it, you are set free. You're not owned by these people anymore. To be truly countercultural today is just to live your life with intention. And that's so sad to me that modern culture has shoved this rampant indoctrination down our throats that you just have to go along with everything or you're evil or you're racist or you're white supremacist or you're misogynistic or you're transphobic or homophobic. The best way to live your life today counterculturally, to be set free from the people who want to control you, is to make intentional choices. Consume your information from people who are independent from corporate media like this live stream, but don't even stay just directly to this stream. Go out of your way to find other resources too. I'm not always going to be here to tell you everything that's going on in the world. Produce content yourself. Be a voice in the darkness where we really need you in that void. Don't shop at a massive grocery store only buying brand name labels. Chances are it's probably not very good for you anyway. Grow a garden. Even if you live in an apartment, you can have a little garden on your kitchen counter or on your balcony. I want to start doing that. Go to the gym. Go to the gym. I'm not telling you that to say that you're a bad person. I'm the queen of avoiding going to the gym, but be happy. Give yourself endorphins. Take care of your body. Prevent health scares and operations and cancer and diabetes so that you don't have to line the pockets of pharmaceutical billionaires like BlackRock shareholders who want you to be sick so that they can control you. Most of all, just choose actual joy and fulfillment in your life. Go on adventures. Go outside. Touch grass, as Brett Cooper would say. Go for a hike. Spend time at a park. Play with your dog. See the sunshine. Fall in love. We attack that every single day. Find real love. Don't just go around with hookup culture and what they want you to think. Fall in love courageously. Get married. Have a kid. Go to church. I think we often assume all of these things are rights, but they're not. None of them are. Your health is not a right. Fresh, clean, safe food is not a right. Going outside every day is not a right. Falling in love is not a right. Getting married is not a right. Having a family is not a right. Worshiping God is not a right. It should be. But in our messed up, upside down, ass backwards world that's getting crazier and crazier and more difficult to navigate by the day, all of those things are privileges. And we should absolutely fight like hell to keep them enshrined as rights. But if we don't, and we fail to make those little intentional decisions every single day, They won't be rights. They'll be privileges that we will long for and that our hearts will yearn for, and we wish we could go back to today and take advantage of all of it. So go to the gym. Long story short, clearly I'm fired up by all of this, but I'm tired of feeling like a lazy pile of crap. I'm tired of eating processed junk food. I'm tired of spending way too much time inside. Carpe diem, as you guys are saying in our live chat. Magic Def just said it in our chat. Carpe diem. Go seize the day. Be your best self. Take care of yourself and live with intention, because it's the best thing that you possibly could do in the face of a clear agenda that the powers that be want to use to control you. What a great freaking stream, you guys. How much fun was that? Go search fat on TikTok. I dare you. It's going to give you a lot of good encouragement to go to the gym beyond what this stream actually did and go exercise today. And as we transition out of the stream, I want to invite all of you guys to come join us for our post-stream Q&A over on Locals. You are all invited to come. It is a very, very fun place for all of us to hang out and me to get to know you a little bit better. I am dropping the link in our live chat as we speak, and you guys are more than welcome to come join us over there. It is a total freaking blast. Before you go, do me a huge favor on whatever platform you're watching on right now, YouTube, Facebook, Rumble, or Getter, and hit that follow or subscribe button. It is always 100% free to watch all of these streams. It always will be free to watch all of these streams, but as an independent creator, makes such a huge difference in my life when you guys actually hit that follow or subscribe button and helps boost this content to those who really need to hear it most. What are the odds you think anybody who made one of those TikToks is going to watch this stream? God, I hope so. That would make me really happy. We made some other people angry on TikTok earlier this week as well. So let's continue blowing up people's false assumptions about the world. Please come join us over on our post-stream Q&A on Locals right now. And if you're not able to join us over there, I love you all so very much. Thank you for supporting me and my content. Keep speaking the truth and go out of your way to counter all of these lies that we encounter daily in culture with objective reality. I can't do it alone, and I need all of your help in the process as well. If you're not joining us for our Q&A, we'll see you tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern. And if you are, Locals, don't go anywhere. Thanks, guys.